Rebecca, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. And Charles?
Yes. How about me?
All right. Calling the Sunset Empire Transportation District Board of Commissioners to order for Thursday, September 22nd at 9:02.
Charles has his hand up.
Yes, Charles.
Your volume is low, I think. Maybe it's just my end.
How about
It sounds within range to me.
I can hear you well, but I also have the
may
earphones,
be.
which make it better.
I'll make adjustments. Thank you. I'll make adjustments.
Okay, let us know if you have problems, Charles. Okay, do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic that stands one nation under God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary, would you do roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Reed,
Here,
Commissioner Withers,
Here.
Commissioner Nino,
Here,
Commissioner Alegria. Present. Commissioner McDonald,
Here.
Commissioner Bushmit,
Here.
Commissioner Romero.
Excuse, yes. Okay. Changes to the agenda.
We have two we'd like to add to the agenda today. The first would be a discussion about meeting dates for October, November, December. And then also, the other item is to talk about the upcoming Veterans Stand Down. And those girls can be under new business. So,
Is there any objections? Charles?
I have no objections, but there's someone participating on the call who I don't know personally. Is she staff or? I don't.
no, I think it's a public member.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
I used to know her, so.
all right. There's no objections. We'll add those two items to new business for B and C. Any public comment?
Kelsey, were you here to make a public comment? If so, could you unmute yourself? And then go ahead. And we're not hearing you. If you have something, just here to watch. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kelsey. Okay, let's start with the approval of board minutes.
I would move that we adopt. Accept for minutes.
I'll second.
And this is for July 28th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the board minutes and from Tracy and a second from Rebecca. Is there any discussion? I did have a couple of questions. Under for election of officers, it looks a little screwy to me. Commissioner McDonald nominated Commissioner Nino as Secretary Treasurer. Commissioner Nino accepted the nomination but stated it was sometimes hard for her. Commissioner Nino nominated Commissioner Oleg. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I didn't read it close enough last night. I'm sorry. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any
Abby,
other?
I think you've got a hand.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
good morning, everyone. Thank you. Yes, I have a correction on page 7 under reports from chair and commissioners. On my report, Commissioner Nino reported that she was glad to have participated. It says in National Transit Day lunch at operations. And I didn't go to the lunch at operations. So I actually looked at the recording and I was not talking very clearly that day. So I apologize, Mary. So what I actually said was that I was glad to have participated in the pledge that we all signed and that it was great that we made it visual. So I didn't go to the lunch at operations, unfortunately.
Okay.
And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, Mary, would you do a roll call vote?
Okay, Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Withers, Commissioner Nino,
Aye.
Commissioner Alegria. Aye. Commissioner McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Bouchnet,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, and then I think we need to,
The work session also.
yes, do the board practice assessment minutes. Those are on page 10.
I move that we approve the board practice assessment workshop held on July 28th.
I second.
Second.
Okay, Charles seconds. Is there any discussion?
Well, not a discussion, but just a comment. You know, we received a glowing report from Mr. Knight. But I think it will be a document that we will continue to use as we move forward.
Thank you, Rebecca. Anything else? Okay, Mary, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Withers,
Aye.
Commissioner Nino,
Aye.
Commissioner Alegria,
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Bouchnet,
Aye.
motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is reports from the chair and commissioners. And I am going to start with the commissioners, and I'm going to start with Tracy this morning.
I really appreciated the Special Districts Oregon one-day conference. I'm not sure that we got the same amount of info, but I felt that it was excellent info. So, and I appreciated the efforts of staff to get me there and get me home. So I appreciate that.
On time for work.
And time for work. 9:02.
Pamela?
I also appreciated the conference. I thought all the sessions that I attended were good. Didn't agree with all. One of the comments is that to compare elected organizations to nonprofits is not compatible. They just have different issues and different structures. But I enjoyed it. Thank you, Mary, for getting us there safely to and from.
My pleasure.
Rebecca?
The only thing I have to offer is, and Jeff, back me up on this, if you will. I think it was last Sunday, we got a call that somebody forgot their wallet on a bus, a connector bus, and I think it might have been a cruise bus. I'm not sure, but somebody called from the Chamber of Commerce in Cannon Beach and asked, you know, because he knew that I was a board member, and so, you know, Jeff was busy at the time, but through the our website, I was able to find the supervisor on duty, and well, actually, the second supervisor on duty. It was kind of a circuitous route, but you know, it worked. You know, we were able to connect with the bus driver, and the guy got his wallet back, and but it did bring up something for me, is that, you know, maybe this is something we can all know how to do. I was able to do that. But, maybe it's something that, the board, could get a little bit of extra information about, how that works on off hours or weekends, and, how we could do a rapid response for any type of emergency or, urgent request.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that, Rebecca. I meant to talk to Mary about that to find out, or Jennifer may know, on the phone tree, when somebody calls in on the weekend, is there a late, an option for the on-duty supervisor?
It's my belief that there is. If
Let's check
anything,
that
they leave a message and we receive it.
Let's check that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca. Deanna?
Thank you. I remember that at the July meeting, Commissioner Romero had mentioned about maybe translating the timesheets, like the stop lists to Spanish. And I'm not so sure that we need to do that, but I did take a look at the stop I have close to my home here in Cannon Beach. Is the RV resort stop. And then I like that we're not cluttering the station, the little station, but I think it would be really useful to have the "Hey, where's my bus" signs in Spanish, because that one is actually really useful to somebody who needs to get to work on time, or if there are any delays. So I would ask our staff to consider translating those signs, the ones for the "Hey, where's my bus," also the one for token transit, and like the real-time bus info for the transit app. And I don't remember if you said if the token transit app has an option for different languages, or is it only in English?
I'll look, but I think it does, but I'll check on that and see. And Mary's all over the signage. She'll take care of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's it for me.
Thank you, Deanna. I think it's really good that we have you on our board, because you notice things like that I probably wouldn't even think about. So thank you for taking the time to check on those for us. I really do appreciate that.
We're learning, Diana.
Yes.
We're learning. Okay.
Charles, how about you?
I want to thank Sue and her hard work to get the reservations to the Newport edition of the training session that I attended. It was well attended and quite knowledgeable. It gave us some additional things, reminders of things we already had heard at other SDO meetings, but sort of solidified that. And so it's always good to get with other districts and other SDAOs to see how things are going with them and get some ideas. As I said, it was handled very well, very professionally. And I gotta believe that my location was better than the Salem location, but that's just me. And I thank everyone who worked to get that done, and I look forward to the next one.
Thank you, Charles. I also attended the Director Leadership Workshop, but I attended in Salem because I have friends there, so I'm able to do two things at once. And then I also did attend the SDAO Summer Conference in Salem. Both of the conferences were always really good. The Director Leadership Conference, as Charles said, reminded us of things that we've already heard, but sometimes if we don't use them, we kind of put them to the back, and new things also. And I thought the SDAO conference was very well put on, and I also thank Mary for doing the driving, getting us there safely, getting us home safely. Yes, Pamela.
This is just the board assessment. The packet is a little confusing because you have the minutes, which we approved, on page 10, and then you go to page 31 with all the information about the board assessments.
That's because it's an agenda item.
So we're gonna discuss it in a little bit.
Oh, I see. Oh, it has nothing to do with minutes. Okay,
Right.
okay.
All right, move right on to the financial reports, and we can start with July. I would entertain a motion to approve the financials as presented.
I would so move.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. And a second? Deanna, did you want to second that? No.
Sure, I will.
Thank you, Rebecca. And Deanna, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. So I actually have a few issues with the financials. So starting with the July financials, that's page 11 on our packet. So then, no, actually page 12. So then if you see, these are the list, this is our consolidated statement of activity. And then if you look at the columns, month to date actual, then the month to date budget, then the variance. And then next to it, the year to date actual is exactly the same as month to date. The year to date budget is the same as month to date, and the variance is the same. So those columns are not the year to date. They're exactly the same as month to date.
It's for the fiscal year to date. Our fiscal year starts in July.
But then why doesn't it reflect the year to date, like the actual budget that was approved for the year?
Our budget starts on July, or our budget year starts on July 1st. So for July, they will be the same because that's the first month of the year. Don't think of a calendar year being starting in January. We deal with a fiscal calendar, which starts on July 1st and goes through June 30th of the next calendar year.
So then, please educate me. So then the year-to-date budget doesn't reflect how much was approved for the year, how much has been spent for the year?
For the month of July, those numbers are going to be the same because it's the first month of the year.
Our stuff, everything runs on a fiscal year. So you're not looking at it from January to December like a calendar year. You look at it from July to June.
No, I understand that. I understand the fiscal year, but I just want to understand. So that, because then I looked at the previous month. So when I looked at the consolidated statement for June, let's say on that first line, the 4010, the fixed route fares. So then on the year-to-date budget, it said $115,000, 138. And then, but then on this one, on the one for July, it's only 15,000. So does that mean that that column doesn't reflect what we approved for the entire year, but what has been spent? Because then in that case, I would understand what you're saying, that, you know, in July, we've only spent that, and that's why that's only listed.
So let's back up a little bit. So the June financials that you looked at, that was the last month of the last year. So that's 12 months worth of financial information.
Mm-hmm.
July is the first month of the new year. So only 1 month's worth of information is going to be included in this report. So the month-to-date budget and the year-to-date budget on this is correct because it's only 1 month's worth. The next month, August, will be 2 months worth. September will be 3 months worth.
Yeah.
October will be 4 months
Yeah,
worth.
I understand that. So then I guess my question is, if I wanted to know how much was approved for the entire fiscal year when we did the budget, would I have to look at the separate, I would have to look at the budget document. It won't be telling us here, like, this is how much we approved, and so far we've spent this much in the year. Correct. I would have to look at the other document.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. There it is. That was my question. So thank you so much. And then I just had I don't know if it's possible, but I had a suggestion that if we go back to page 11, so I like this little short review of the financials, like the highlights of the different, you know, the main things. So then if we go on revenue and it says item 4205, so then that's actually not just, that amount is not just for 4205. It's items 4205, 4206, and 4207, because it's those 3 items added together. Would it be possible to list it like that? Items 4205, 4206, and 4207, or else it doesn't really match. That's not what 4205 says.
Yeah, I can put them together like that.
Thank you. And then that's it for July.
Yeah, and just on that property tax question, we do have to separate out current year taxes from previous year taxes, but we can still do that. It'll have all 3 plus a total. Can you
Yeah,
do that?
just on the review, because on the actual list, yeah, they should definitely be separate. But yeah, on that little review, it's like, this is the added, all of the property taxes that were received. Thank you.
Deanna, I just want to clarify so that when I do it next time, I do it the way that you want it. So on the on our consolidated statement of activity on page 12, it's going to list them individually as it does.
Correct.
And then on page 11, on the exceptions report, instead of just putting 4205, put 4205 to 4207. Okay.
Correct.
Yep, nice and easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I did have one question on 4605 other income,
What page number?
page 12. I forgot what income was.
For what line?
4605.
4605. So other income is, it can be lots of different things. It's, if we overpay something and they send us back a check, that would be other income.
Laminating fees are in there.
Fees.
One that'll show up in the current month is when I went to Iowa, we were reimbursed for my travel costs. That will show up in there.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, I just couldn't remember what other costs were.
Yeah.
Pamela?
Okay, maybe I'm not reading this correctly. On page 11, pardon me, you have income with a certain figure and then more than with a certain figure. And then you go to the consolidated, and it doesn't seem to match if I'm looking at something that's wrong.
Which one are you looking at specifically?
Okay, so the totals for total revenue and more than. So you're looking at 5 actual revenue and then variance on the bottom.
Speak up.
You are right, I didn't update that. I don't think it's up. No, wait. Hold on.
Okay,
Year-to-date income. So year-to-date actual. And then the variance. And then materials and services is on the next page and the variance. No, it looks right. Year-to-date actual on page 12 is 580, 889.98.
And are you looking at the last line on page 11 that says grants received?
now I'm looking at, so if you have page 11, you have a summary of the finances. So the first income was 580, 8090. And then here you have 580, 89.98 total revenue on page 12.
I round
Oh,
to
you
the
do
nearest
round.
dollar.
Okay,
Up or down. Anything
Okay.
over 50 cents goes up, anything under 50 cents goes down.
okay, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, Mary, would you do a roll call, please?
Did we have a motion?
Yes, we had a motion and a second.
At the beginning. Commissioner Reed,
Why?
Commissioner Withers, Commissioner Nino,
Yes.
Commissioner Alegria,
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald?
Aye.
Commissioner Blue Smith? Aye. Commissioner Withers?
I was having Zoom problems. Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. And we will move into August.
Any questions on August?
They need to make a motion. Move that we accept financials for August.
In a second,
I second.
have the seconds. Okay. Is there any questions, any discussion? No? All right, Mary, would you mind taking another roll call, please?
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Withers? Commissioner Nino?
Aye.
Commissioner Alegria?
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald?
Aye.
Commissioner Blue Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Withers?
We can catch him when
Again,
he gets back.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to continued business and board practices assessment review.
All right, so as we discussed in the minutes, just a reminder that on July 28th, the board held a work session where the board practices was facilitated by Jim Knight, who's a senior consultant with SBAO. And Jim led the board through the assessment of how they felt the board was performing in board duties and responsibilities. And the different sections of that were operational compliance, budget, finance, customer relations, personnel administration, and then policies and procedures. And Jim had sent out the final report on it, and along with a letter showing his impressions and recommendations. And so we put this on the agenda for today for any follow-up board discussion you want to have. And then if you want to provide staff with some direction on it. And I know Rebecca already spoke to the point where this isn't just going to sit somewhere, that it needs to continue to be an active thing that we refer to. So this is your opportunity if you want to provide some more comments, and let us know what you want to do in regards to your recommendations that he has made.
Charles, it looks like you got your hand up.
Yeah, I apologize. I was having Zoom issues. I'm back. I didn't have any volume. Did I miss a vote, or do you guys just skip me over?
Yes, would you like to vote now on accepting August's financials?
I'm an aye on all that. Yes.
Thank you. Rebecca?
I've got, oops. Audio's kind of weird. I got some feedback. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Two items, potential compliance challenges that were brought up about the Ensign Way shelter. I know I brought this up before, and this isn't really, I don't know if this is really the appropriate time to bring it up, but I'm wondering if we could explore getting another supplier for the shelter actual facility. I know we use a private group that works through the corrections department that makes these. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, but they won't be used for this stop because this is a connector stop. Much like the one that's across the highway where it's a blue shelter, and we buy that from a company. We won't be going through the correctional enterprises for this shelter.
Okay, because, you know, I would really like to see us not use that contract for the correctional industries, because I believe that it is indentured servitude. There's a movement afoot in our state to try to not have what is basically a form of slavery, because people are not compensated for their work on those. And I just want to go on record as saying that would someone please bring to our attention, whenever we are going to be considering using that kind of contract. We're not the only ones, I think the Parks Department, the state parks also is in contract with them. And that's a concern to me. So I just wanted to go on record with that. And would we be able to know ahead of time if we're considering entering a contract for those kinds of services?
If that's the direction that the board wants to go, we can certainly go that way. I would ask just one thing, that we offer up an opportunity for a representative from the Department of Corrections to speak to the board about it.
All right.
About the program, so you get firsthand knowledge of the program.
Madam Chairman, I concur with that.
That's fair. Okay, and I have one more if we're done with that one. This is on improvements to customer service. And I just may be missing the boat on this, and this is something that, we're doing a good job with, but it says the district is making good strides towards addressing the needs of customers whose primary language is not English. And I'm just wondering, how is this being evaluated, and how are we moving forward with this? Commissioner Nino said earlier about, the different kind of signage, that's certainly always a good thing for us to be intentional about that, what's working and not working. But from the customer, the consumer perspective, how are we evaluating ourselves from their perspective?
And so, Jason, I'm going to ask you to jump in on this to talk about, within our Title VI plan is our language assistance program and the steps that we take to make sure that we are communicating. Because you're correct in what Deanna brought up about the signage, what great strides we've made on that. But there's other tools that we use within the district if there's translation needs and such. And Jason, could you just touch on that part of it?
Yeah, so basically due to our Title VI and things that we discovered, and when we researched the needs through creating a Title VI, certain tools that we have at our advantage, first of all, are really the human workers that we do have here. We have several individuals who are available during work hours to do translations. We do have our website, now moving into the technical side of things, that currently, does have a Google Translate on there as well. So that, that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it is definitely the industry standards to have a, Google Translate on there. That's very applicable to a lot of people in our area. It could be better, but I do believe that's where we're at right now. But aside from that as well too, we do effort to ensure that the training videos that we put out are, at the very least subtitled in that as well. So somebody who's watching a training video can click subtitle what subtitles they would like. So that's one direction that we go. Again, we can get better on that. We don't have everything subtitled in Spanish, but I know that through Kathy, Transportation Options Specialist, her and I, when we work together on projects, we do everything we can to ensure that the limited English proficient plan is being executed. So that's where we're at right now. It is very human centric. I know that up here at the front desk here at the Transit Center with Stephanie, that's a very good opportunity to be able to, speak to her. People come here all the time and do work with her in that. I think Kathy has had opportunities in the past, especially during outreach events and stuff. Kathy does a great job of outreaching, and hopefully maybe she can speak to this a little bit too. She'll outreach with other organizations to specifically, speak to limited English proficient individuals. So, Yep, that's where we're at right now. I think we're
If I could, Deanna, if I could just step in here with the follow-up, and I see your hand, is that that is really, great. I think we're doing a good job. It looks like we're doing a good job on this, with all the different points, resources available. I guess I'm just wondering, maybe through those, there are some outreach, because my main concern is, how are people feeling about the effectiveness of it, the actual consumer, getting actual consumer feedback? And if there's a means to regularly do that, somehow in an informal way, so that people can be, anecdotally respond to, how are some of our systems actually working with our customers? And that's all I need to say about that from my end.
Thank you, Rebecca. Deanna?
Thank you, Rebecca, for bringing that up. I really appreciate it. So first of all, I do want to recognize all of the work that the district has really, they're trying. You guys are really trying, and I really appreciate that as a Hispanic person, a member of the community. But it's a slow process. In my experience, also working in social services, this is something that takes a while to figure out, like what's the right fit for the district. But I thought that in our budget, we had set aside money to contract translation and interpreting service, not just Google Translate. So that actually, I would like some clarification on what happened to that, because even Jeff did like a research on different companies, and we even chose one that we thought that we liked best. So why are we only using Google Translate and staff who's bilingual?
Let me back up. We are not using Google Translate. Google Translate is an option on the website, and that's the industry standard. We're not going to set up a separate Spanish-only website, obviously. Anything that we do with the documents that we get out, they're generally need to go out like now. So we can't wait for a translation service. So Mary has a process, huh?
It's in Word.
She uses Microsoft Word for the translation. And that's helped. We haven't used our interpreter service as of yet, just because of the need to, if we need to get a press release out, it needs to go out right away. But
aren't the interpreting or translation services, if you have a contract with them, wouldn't they be available to get something translated on the same day or in a matter of a few hours, or from one day to the next? Because our press releases, rarely is it that it's something that, we have to get out right now. Usually it's stuff that you already know about. You know that we're going to be changing our service or our routes, or that we're going to be closed. We know these things in advance. So that could be translated properly, because I appreciate every time that I see one of our signs in Spanish, but often they're not proper Spanish. So if we have the service, I'm hoping that we would be using it regularly.
yeah, and we haven't used it yet. So it's incumbent on us to be better planning to do that ahead of time. So we can't do it as a rush, but it's considerably more expensive. So we'll be better. I'll work with Mary on kind of setting up a calendar when we need to put out certain things, and we can get it done ahead of time.
Yeah, and also like in my experience, I'm a communications manager at my agency, and then there are things that once you do them one year, then you can do small edits the following year. So like if there are things that even though right now we could get translated the notice for Memorial Day. Yeah, we're changing our service for Memorial. Like all of these past notices can be asked to be translated to the translation service, because we can just change the dates next year. So then that would also mean that we don't have to be translating all of these notices year to year, but that they just get small adjustments. So that's a suggestion that way it doesn't have to be in a rush. There can be also some templates that can be translated and that can be used for different events or different things like that. So that's something that we can get started, especially because we put aside budget for this service.
Okay.
All right, and then
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then on that end, I also agree with Rebecca on, it's actually really hard to know how the public feels, but it would be wonderful if we could get an idea. Like even because of what I do in my agency, I don't really talk directly to a lot of the Hispanic and Latinx community members that use the bus, but then maybe Jason and Kathy, when you are out there doing outreach, maybe always ask if they use the service and maybe get a couple of questions in to maybe get some sort of feel for how they like what we're doing, because it's really hard actually. And people's participation are not usually, they're not volunteering to give their opinions, especially if it's not something bad. When it's something good, people don't speak. Unfortunately, it's only when it's a complaint. But thank you, Rebecca, for bringing it up, and thank you to the staff for all your efforts.
Thank you.
If I could just add one last thing, thank you, Deanna, is that, yeah, I really think that's, it is a little bit difficult, to get, the unvarnished, input from users. But I think that that's really what we need to do, because, and I think we have to drill down a little bit deeper than the usual ways that English speaking people may respond to requests for input. It might be culturally specific, and I think it's worth it because we do have, a fair amount of Spanish speaking people that ride the bus. And I think it is very important for us to address their needs. So I would like to see some ideas expressed at a later date or whatever, that we can do a better job of trying to get some response from our Spanish speaking writers.
Thank you, Rebecca. Tracy?
And in response to that, and Kathy's presence on October 8th at the old middle school, and Diana, that is going to be an opportunity to interface with the Hispanic community. So let's go join them. That's my question. Thank you.
All right.
On page 39, under recommendations, there's the issue of the audit. And Mr. Knight said that he would request help from SDAO staff and see if there are any suggestions to remedy the situation. Has that happened?
No, because we're still engaged with our current auditors. Before we get to not the audit for the year that just ended, but the next audit, I'm going to put out an RFP, request for proposals.
And would SDAO be able to help in terms of?
Potentially, I use the state. I used the state previously. The Department of Revenues. They've got a list of all the public auditors, so I use them.
Thank you.
Yep.
Charles?
Piggybacking on what you just mentioned, one of the things they mentioned at our training is that that districts reach out to other districts who have similar needs, in particular with contracts and stuff like that. See, they get their experience, because often you can reach out to another district or and they would have had a long-term relationship with a contractor that they like and that they get good service from. So I don't know if it's out there somehow in general knowledge. Someone has a particular vendor they use, but perhaps that's an idea we may want to look at, checking for existing districts that have vendors that can help us, that they can rely on the system.
Yeah, and that's actually something we did last time too. Besides getting the list from the state, I contacted all the local special districts, as many as I could, and they were highly recommended. So the company we use now, so.
Do we have a time frame?
No. No action is required on this, so.
Okay, well, one thing I wanted to, and I don't know, Jim suggested was a grant writer. But I'm seeing that you do pretty much all of the grants. I'm not seeing,
Right, and a grant writer in the transportation world, I would argue that it's not necessary because all of our grants that we get, we go through ODOT, so it's a standard format. I do keep an eye on other potential grants through the, direct grants from the federal government. And if there's something that's out of our normal realm, I would probably engage somebody to help us write that grant, but we don't need a full-time staff person to write grants.
okay, and that's kind of where I was thinking, but I thought I would bring it up.
Yep.
Is there any other comments on the assessment? All right, thank you, everybody. We'll move on to new business and the legislative advocacy policy introduction.
Can you say that again?
I had a really hard time saying it the first time.
So included in your packet was a policy that SBAO put together, and those of you that attended the training last week down in Salem heard Frank refer to this, Frank being the executive director of SBAO, and the need that they needed for support from special districts as we're going out, going to the legislature and, with concerns about maybe some potential legislative actions they're going to take and the effect that it would have on special districts. To really boil it down, this is a critical year for this because when the legislature goes into session next year, there's going to be new leadership. There'll be a new president of the Senate, a new speaker of the House, a new governor, and about a third of the seats in the legislature are going to be new people as well. And if you were to go out and ask most of them what's a special district, they kind of go, I don't know. And so that's a big concern, not just here in Oregon, but nationwide, of people not understanding that special districts are government agencies because they don't think that they are. A lot of people think they get their water from the city, when in fact, not all of them do. Many of them get them through water districts. So having the opportunity to support SBAO's position on different legislative actions they're going to be taking is really important that we help support that, and we have in the past. The biggest concern they heard was, well, staff needs to get direction from the board on if they're okay with this. And knowing that special district boards generally only meet once a month, that was the catalyst for writing this policy, to give some flexibility for districts, to kind of preset what things that they could go ahead and chime in on. And they put that in the draft policy, showing things like revenue advocacy priorities that are on page 44. The sections are revenue, finances, and taxation, and there's governance and accountability, human resources and personnel, and then infrastructure, innovation, and investment. And the important thing is that last one, which is other. And that's what, before we finalize our policy, I'd like to ask the board to think about that. What other priorities specific to our district, to a transportation district, do you think would be important to include? And that way, and we can have that discussion at our work session when we do some strategic plans. That would be a great time to talk about that so we can implement this before the legislature goes into session early next year. And we'll talk more about that when that work session and strategic planning is going to be here shortly. But that's where we're at. we gave it to you now to digest it. The one change that was made, you'll see highlighted in yellow, that if something came out from SBAO, I or somebody in the district would need to give with the board chair prior to taking a position.
So, Madam Chairman, did you see this down here? So this suggestion of at least downloading that document.
Oh, yeah, I did see that when I was reading this, and I think that would,
What page are you on?
Down on page 46 at the
46.
bottom. So could we do that?
yeah. So I think we all should go. So on page 46, the second to last paragraph, it has sample policy resolutions that can be found on the SDAO Legislative Action Toolkit. Might be something that we all want to make a.
And that's where this came from. That's the link to
Okay.
this document.
Okay, so we could use that to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Charles?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think we should hold this for our work session. Give me a little time to think about it. I think this is I'm sure it's fine, but I'd like for one, like a little time to think about this before we do an opinion or vote on it.
That's exactly what we're doing. So this is just a preview, so you guys have a chance to look at it before we meet for the retreat. Deanna?
Thank you. So could you please explain in practical terms what this would look like? That if something happens and then we just met, let's say we just had our meeting and something happens next week, so we won't be meeting for 3 weeks. So what would this process look like? Who would they call? Would Debbie, who is our chair now, would she just make the decision on her own? Or like how would this work practically? Could you please give us an example?
So let me give you an example of what happened during the pandemic. There was a lot of money, as you know, there was a lot of money put out by the federal government. There were 3 rescue plans: the CARES Act, the American Rescue Plan, and I can't remember the name of the other ones. But anyway, all those monies went to cities and counties. The special districts were not included. And the reason they were included is, again, many legislators, both state and federal, don't understand what special districts are. And they also made the comment to SBAO that, well, we didn't hear from special districts. There wasn't a united voice. The League of Oregon Cities, they were all over it. The Association of Oregon Counties, they were all over it. Their hands were there, their people, their lobbyists were there, and they have a lot of lobbyists that are both in Washington, D.C. and then down in Salem. We don't have that with special districts. So this is an opportunity to, again, have that united voice of saying, hey, we do these services, we are a government agency, we need this money too. Now, we're fortunate in transportation because we had specific money in those rescue plans. And so we were able to tap into those monies. But vector control districts, water districts, sanitary waste districts, ditch districts, 911 districts, they didn't have those direct funds like we did. So it was a big challenge to go and try to get some of that money. And some of the money was very token. Kathy, I see you got your screen on. Kathy, as you remember, is a board member of SBAO, and I think she can share some more things on this.
Sure, Jeff, I just put my camera on in case you wanted to ask, and that is exactly the example that I would have brought up. And I, as a board member, sent out multiple emails to all the different districts that are part of the at-large caucus. And frequently the response I heard, this is a great idea, we'll put it in front of our board. Unfortunately, the timeline didn't allow for a response in a timely manner. And I mean, Jeff mentioned some of the districts, but it's also larger districts like port districts and fire departments in a lot of places, and the emergency response districts that were really suffering because they had so many more expenses and no way to get any of the funding unless they then eventually had to go beg money from the counties and the cities. And so we have our two little legislative representatives here in the state that represent SDAO, but they are a very small drop in the bucket. I mean, they do a great job for SDAO, but they, as Jeff said, are a small drop in the bucket compared to League of Oregon Cities that then immediately has all the cities respond. And Association of Counties immediately has all the counties respond. And so it looks like special districts doesn't care and doesn't need the money when we don't respond. So, yes.
I think one of the other steps that SDAO has been a part of, we have SDAO is specific to Oregon, but up until a couple of years ago, we didn't have a national organization for special districts, and that's changed. That has started. Mind you, there's only a few states involved with it. I believe it's Colorado, Florida, and us, and I don't remember who else was
California.
That's going to help having a national presence, because we don't in Washington, D.C. There may be one person, I think, but that's not going to cut it. And when legislative is in session, and these topics pop up, it is time sensitive because they are talking about it now and they're going to make a decision now. So we've got like a day or two to get information or letters of support into them. The example of the rescue money or the CARES Act money, I did write a letter in support of the other special districts. So if we can go in as a united force, that carries a lot of weight. In my letter, I said, transportation, we got the money, but other special districts who provide these services, A, B, C, and D, don't get anything. And it's important that they get help too.
So then, does this mean that an issue would come up and it's time sensitive? Then would we be delegating the decision to staff or to the board chair?
In here, we have them both. It could be one or the other. Say I'm on
One or the
vacation.
other.
If I'm on vacation, board chair could go ahead and take action. If I'm around, and that's why we changed this one sentence on page 41 that's highlighted, I'm going to confer with the board chair before we take a position, just to make sure the board chair is okay with it. And then it would come up at the next board meeting as an after action report.
Got it. And as an after action report, could the board, I don't see how, well, why, but could the board go back on that decision, like revise it?
The letter would have already been submitted.
But we would know for next time how the board felt, and maybe not do,
And
it's, most of the time it's for help, for money, for more services, for support.
yeah, or making sure that they don't enact legislation that's going to be a heavy burden on us. And that's why there's things like human resources and personnel. They may decide to start a new program that's going to cause us a lot of work, but not provide any funding for it. So we would share our concerns about that. Again, as a united voice for all special districts. And what's great about special districts, they will send out a template letter, that we can customize. Makes it very simple. So that way, again, we're doing a united voice with all our other partners in the Special Districts Association.
Go ahead, Kathy.
So just as a little bit of background for the special districts, when they take issues like this up, it's not just staff, and it really isn't just a spur of the moment thing that they decide, oh, we like this issue, we're going to get behind it. There's a lot of background and vetting and planning that happens before special districts decides as special districts, as the organization, to get behind an issue. So different special districts individually can be interested in having special districts push forward an idea, such as frequently we hear something from like an individual district. It recently just happened with the library districts, that they brought an issue to the special districts legislative committee, and they wanted special districts to get behind them and get their support and bring it forward to the legislature, to the Oregon legislature. And we as a legislative committee sat and talked and discussed it and decided, you know what, this is not something that special districts as a whole can get behind. This is a more specialized library thing. So we as an organization aren't going to, put our power behind it. So just so you know, it's not just everything and anything that special districts will get behind. So this kind of thing will be a very overarching, like, this is important to special districts as a whole, if special districts proposes it.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Kathy, because when the board has its retreat and we're talking about strategic plans and other things, one of the other things we're going to talk about is this, that's why that other question is there. What are the things should we include? And I'm going to be bringing up at that work session what OTA, the Oregon Transit Association, is going to be lobbying for at the next session. And it's that's something that we'll probably take to special districts and say, hey, to the legislative committee, can SBO get behind this? If they do, great. If they don't, OTA is going to definitely lobby hard on it. So, but I'll discuss that more in the work session.
I'm sorry, Pamela?
Well, this is excellent document. I mean, it really will move special districts forward. I'd like to see this on the local level, and by that I mean when there's something that comes up, a particular project that's going in front of city council, county, that we could have the same policy, because I have received, and I'm sure you all have, that individually we sign something which in the world of reality means nothing. But if you do it under the special sunset, it has more impact. And okay, now don't moan with this. Page 41, I'm only asking for 1 comma.
Okay.
That's reasonable.
Man, I looked at commas too.
So the actual addition to the policy after consultation with the board chair, comma.
Okay, you're right. I will add a comment there.
Very good.
Thank you, Pamela.
Can I change your comma commissioner?
Okay, so is everybody a little bit more comfortable with where this is going, and we'll discuss it more at our retreat?
No, I'm gonna do homework.
Yeah, and really think about what other, outside of what they've talked about, what they've outlined, what other things does our district want to consider legislatively?
Okay.
All right, does everybody bring your calendars?
It's on my phone.
So we need to sit down and get some dates planned out.
Can I, excuse me,
Yes, we'll take a short 5-minute break, how's that? Okay, 5-minute break.
Sweet, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Whole life works on the phone.
I need to get
Yes,
elevator.
Pam, can you sing?
Anybody
Can you sing?
sing?
Yeah, we did a little.
Have background music while
Oh,
we're.
I've been drinking.
Please don't.
Rebecca, I had those signs almost before we finished our emails yesterday.
Pardon me?
I had those signs almost before we finished our emails yesterday.
Oh, yeah, good deal. Yeah, we're smoking.
So. Oh,
Was that 5 minutes? Was that 5 minutes? I'm sorry.
5.5,
Yes.
Charles, 5.5.
We're just rounding here, so we're recording.
Older you get, the 5 minutes seems shorter.
Okay, we're back in session. We need to talk about our retreat day and our October meeting. We were gonna do them on the same day, but Pamela's gonna be gone. So we were talking about moving our normal October meeting to November 3rd, was that right? And so then we would have our meeting in the morning and our retreat in the afternoon.
Okay, so the 3rd of November, is that the date?
Yeah.
Debbie, can you please give guidance on hours? Like how many hours for each are we calculating?
I would say 2 hours, 2.5 hours for our meeting, and then Jeff, what do you say about retreat?
Probably 4 hours, so probably the entire day.
That's the entire day. Is it,
So,
and
in
this
person?
is a question, does it have to be during the week or could it by any chance be done on the weekends? Because those of us who work, we would have to take the day off, basically.
We will leave that up to the board. We can do whatever the board wants.
Weekends okay for folks?
If I know far enough ahead.
Okay. Rebecca?
Yeah, I turned that into a thumbs up for weekend.
Okay. I'm good with the weekend, sure.
Then I would propose November 5th.
Okay, how's November 5th work for everybody?
Is that a
It's
Saturday?
fine.
That's a
That's
Saturday.
a Saturday.
Okay.
Now, will we-
Let me just take a look at something.
Sure.
Yeah, the 5th would work well for me. I'm just seeing here on the calendar that would be the weekend of daylight savings time, if that means anything to anybody, just to be aware that this.
No, that's my favorite one because it gives us an extra hour of sleep, so yeah, I'm good with that.
And that's
And
not,
yeah.
It is the last one. No more moving after this one.
All right. So November 5th, Saturday, November 5th,
So 7 o'clock.
7 in the morning.
Madam Chair,
That early?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Charles.
3 of the commissioners have a predetermined meeting on that day, but I'll get with that organization and change that day.
Maybe we
Well,
can.
there's 3 of us on
That's why I
this
said
board.
3 of us commissioners on here are already committed to that day. Let me say that again. I will speak with that organization to change that day so that we can make the transit district meeting.
Let me propose something else then. You know,
Oh,
you look at October 29th. Oh, no, you're gonna be out. That's right.
Still gone.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I really don't want to go past that first week.
So let's see what we can do.
Charles, I think that.
It's
3
okay.
We get it.
How- how about Sunday instead of Saturday? Sunday the 6th. Well, are you guys still committed to something, Charles?
No, I was just that I can't make the 6th, but I don't want to hold everybody else up from the 6th.
But the retreat is important that we all can make it.
So the 5th is fine. I mean, we can change that.
We can
I'm pretty
change
sure I
it.
can change that other meeting.
So let's go with November 5th, Saturday, November 5th. And Jeff has suggested that we start at 7 a.m.
Jane, I'm gonna say, how about?
Oh.
Look at-
What?
10 o'clock.
Is there 7 in the morning also? I didn't know.
They keep asking, they love 6 in the morning, so they kind of set precedent.
We 6:02, we ran out down the road. So,
I'm gonna suggest 10 o'clock.
All right, 10 o'clock, Rebecca?
Yes, and I think I mentioned also that, since we've made such a savings, from not meeting and, saving our budget money, if we're all meeting in person, maybe we can have some kind of a lunch and coffee and service and
Yeah,
help grease the skids.
yeah, and Jennifer had a really good idea, just as a cost saving thing. Somebody's gonna run over to Costco and everybody's gonna get a $1.50 hot dog and a soda, so. No, we will have lunch, so.
That's a mean joke, Jeff.
I've
You
been there
mean
24
lunch,
years and I ate enough of those, so I would never suggest that. So,
lunch and coffee and pastry service.
yeah.
So shall we, do you want to meet in
The
Seaside?
thing I started thinking about though, after you and I talk, is the ability to Zoom. We have the system here and I don't know
Oh, see.
because it's a public meeting.
Oh, okay.
the community center has just as good a system. The
So we
Sunset
can
Park and Rec uses it all the
Okay.
time.
Let me check into that because I would like to do it down there if we could.
Okay.
All
What
right.
is the advantage of doing it in Seaside?
Huh?
What is the advantage doing it in Seaside?
For some of our South County, like
Oh,
Tracy
okay.
lives down there, Rebecca lives down there, Charles lives down there, Deanna lives down there.
Okay.
Pretty much you're the only one out here.
I
so.
think, can I suggest that, if it's Bob Chisholm Center, we need to get after that right away. That is the weekend before the Tuesday election. And I know that there are some groups that are using that. So, we would need to secure that as soon as possible.
Okay, I'll get with Skylar today.
And I have a question. So then the board meeting is obviously a public meeting. Is the retreat public meeting as well?
Yeah, every time you guys meet, except for executive session, is a public meeting. So it will be broadcast and people could come to it if they want. But
Thank you.
we don't take public input at work sessions.
Hmm,
So they can watch it, but they don't have a chance to comment.
got it. Thank you.
And Jennifer Soprano is a good contact person if you don't get Skylar, which I don't think you're gonna get today.
Oh, I can get Skylar.
Okay, so that takes care of our,
I just wanted to question
Yes.
more procedure. So we would have the October packet to read. And is there a packet for the strategic plan? Or how is that?
There'll be a small packet for it, yeah.
So to read this previous strategic plan plus a few
Right.
notes.
Right.
So we don't,
Yeah.
we're a little prepared.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, so that takes care of our October meeting.
So
Yes,
we can't have, so I guess we can't have it in November. Okay, got it.
Yeah, now.
Now we'll move to our November, December meeting that we usually combine. And since,
In the past, we've done it in December.
mhm.
My recommendation would be looking at the week of the 12th, if that works, just that good time for Kelly to get the financials. Well, actually, you wouldn't have them done by the 8th, would you?
Kelly's not here
Kelly
to ask.
left.
The 12th is,
Actually, the week of the 7th or the
The 14th then?
5th or the 12th.
the week of the 7th.
You're talking about December 12th?
Well,
The week of the 12th.
It would, if we kept it on Thursday, it would be the 15th.
Correct.
Pamela's
I'm
not
not, I
here.
don't know if it'll be.
That works for me.
Okay, if we miss one, it's just a regular meeting.
What about the 8th?
The 8th is what?
Yeah.
That's a
Thursday.
Thursday also.
that's fine.
Yes,
8th,
See,
good?
Good?
8th,
Yeah,
yes.
I have a work meeting at 10:30.
that would be a problem then.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about a different day of that week, like a Friday, the 9th or the 16th? Does that,
Well, that's why I suggested the 14th.
or a Wednesday?
Wednesday, the 14th?
14th or 16 works for me.
Me too.
I don't think so.
And 16th wouldn't work either?
What about the 9th?
The 9th is good.
What about the 9th, guys?
9th, Friday?
9th is good.
Friday, 9th?
Okay.
Fine.
See everybody nodding their head or thumbs up?
And that one would start at 9 a.m. Okay, everybody happy?
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right.
Very good. Wow, good
Not
job.
so tough.
That was easy. Okay.
All right, and the stand down.
Yeah, the next thing we want to talk about is the veteran stand down, and I'm gonna have Jason move his chair up here and talk about this and what his request is.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, board. Appreciative of you taking the time. I'll be swift. I'll just start out by kind of just telling you a brief story, won't be too long. So we have 42,000 people who live in Clatsop County. And roughly 13% of those people are veterans, roughly 5,500 individuals. Clatsop County is roughly 830 square miles of land. And most of the veterans that I service, so roughly about 60% of them that I have been in contact with and talked to and driven, live outside of the reasonable scope or distance of a fixed route, okay? Most of them, because they're there, will not seek medical, services or other services that do help them come to healthier outcomes. So, what do? Usually most of them will take one day a year to go get all those services, whatever they are. And those services are held at the Veterans Stand. So it is my ask of this board that on November 2nd, you approve fare free for all what we're calling military connected individuals, okay? So not just a veteran, not just active service members that we currently do with ID, but all military connected individuals receive fare-free transportation on that day. We will have a table there. Kathy has been invited to come with me. My two wonderful volunteer drivers will be there, hopefully, to share some time there, hand out some goodies, do a lot of outreach and directing them to services that they need and everything. So that's what I'm asking, please.
I personally think it's a really great idea. Anything from any of the other members?
I think so too.
I concur. Location, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Location will be at the CSAG Convention Center.
Okay.
And what's the day?
The date is November 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah, great idea. Thank you, Jason, for proposing that.
I would entertain a motion.
I would propose a motion that we support a free ride for all veterans.
Military,
Military connected.
Military connected.
okay?
My second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Mary?
Yes. Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Withers.
Aye.
Commissioner Nino,
Aye.
Commissioner Alegria,
Aye.
Commissioner McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Bushmit,
Aye.
motion passes.
All right, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Right. Moving right along, how about any correspondence? No correspondence?
Nope.
Okay, executive director's report.
I don't have a lot extra of what's in here. I got a couple of things. Last week, I was just the day before the SBO conference that we attended, I was over in Newport and met with all of the directors of community corrections or parole and probation throughout the state of Oregon. It was a great meeting, very receptive to the returning citizen program. Just to give you a status of where we're at the state level. Unfortunately, within the Department of Transportation, there are some new people in procurement, and they've really put some roadblocks up on getting an intergovernmental agreement approved between the Department of Transportation and the Department of Corrections. So they're working on that. There's a meeting going to be held early next week with the Department of Corrections leaders that are part of our team and ODOT to get this thing done. VTI is ready to go and very anxious to get it started, as are the rest of us. So that's an update on that program. I'll be in my last trip for this year, I believe. I'll be in Indiana next month presenting at a transit conference program as well. And then a couple other things. The Transportation Advisory Committee is going to be meeting in November. Don't have dates set yet. We're waiting to see when the board was going to meet, because part of the direction that we need to give the Transportation Advisory Committee is your goals or your priorities for the district, because that's going to be important for them to develop the statewide transportation improvement fund and other fund sources that we'll be applying for the upcoming biennium. So we've got some seats that are expired, or like we did with Kathy, what we did with Paul, we actually hired the chair of that committee, Patrick Preston. He's one of our drivers now, and so his seat is open. And then there's 3 other seats, and all 3 of those individuals are interested in serving again. But we've started the recruitment. A press release went out yesterday, and in Spanish as well. We also put, and it didn't get done in time for inclusion in the press release, but we now have an online application, fillable application for that committee on our webpage. And so people can actually go in and do it online, make it really simple. And that should have been pushed out within the last 30 minutes or so. So we finalized it and approved it this morning before the meeting. Side note, Friday was the big Special Districts Golf Tournament, and I was a part of the Sunset Empire Parks and Recreation team. Included Skylar Archibald, their executive director, myself, a friend of Skylar's, and the assistant city manager at Seaside. And fortunately, all 3 of those people were way better than me at golf. So we didn't do too bad. By the time I had left, I wasn't there for the finish. I think at that point we were in 3rd place, I think, but I think we got bumped out 3rd place. But it was a great day. SBO always does a great job with that golf tournament, and it's a fundraiser for scholarships for special districts that need money for training. You know, they aren't able to necessarily go to some of these trainings unless they get some scholarship money. So this golf tournament funds those scholarships. So it's great. And then in keeping with the golf theme, the Rotary Club across the river on the peninsula had a golf tournament for their foundation on Sunday. And I took our long-term driver, Bill Ray, who's also our union liaison, and he and I were a team, and We ended up finishing in 6th place. Bill got the long drive. So he won a nice tailor-made driver. So Bill and I had a great time golfing together, and it was a good day. Bill even talked about it at our drivers meeting yesterday. So it was a good relationship building, and Bill made the comment yesterday that, Jeff's a pretty nice guy outside of work, so. So it was good. The last personal thing I'll talk about, I don't know if you all know, I live out in Westport, way out Highway 30. And there was a big need out there for more people on the fire department. And it's been a goal of mine since I was 12 years old to be a volunteer firefighter, and that's what I am now. And this Monday night was really cool. I got to share this with the drivers yesterday that our practices are on Monday, and our practice entailed everybody getting on the fire truck and watching Jeff drive the fire truck. And so I got to drive all over Westport and went out towards Glatskanai, and I felt really comfortable. I had to do some backup exercises, and it reminded me of being on the, I'm on the National Bus Rodeo Committee, and some of the same type of moves that we have to have the contestants do. But backing up, when I was backing up left-handed, it took me about 5 times to get between the lines. But backing up right, I nailed it just twice in a row. They didn't believe I could do it that way, because usually that's the hard way, but it was easier for me. So it was a good experience. So anyway, and I complimented the drivers yesterday because it really gave me a taste of driving a big rig, because it's a full-size fire truck, and our drivers can all drive full-size buses, and I really appreciate what they do. It's amazing what they do.
Go, Janet.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's very cool. My partner is a golfer, so he'll appreciate it when I tell him about all our golf involvement as a district. So I had a question about the Transportation Advisory Committee. When do we need to fill in those seats? Like, what's the deadline for that?
You're going to see it at your next meeting. We aren't having the October meeting. It's going to be on November 5th. So it will, no, is that the board meeting and the work session? Yes, November 5th.
Cool, because since Tracy brought up the event that we're having on October 8th, we're expecting a lot of people. This is a Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month celebration that we'll be doing in Seaside, and that might be an opportunity to maybe, if you guys print a notice like, hey, would you like to have a say on the decisions for the district or whatever, like join the advisory committee. So it might be a way to even get more people to know that they can participate.
Okay, Tracy brought these flyers in.
Yeah, but we'll do the application.
Yay! Thank you.
Welcome. That's a great idea. Thank you.
And
No,
I also had another, I don't know, have you report, Jeff?
Pardon?
Have you finished your report?
I was just gonna add one more thing that Jennifer talked about yesterday with the drivers. We haven't, we've been hiring people. We've been, fortunate to be able to hire a few people, but we're still short people. Everybody's noticed that their overtime has gone down. And so she assured them that it wasn't because we're spending so much money. It's just that we've hired people to fill in some of those gaps, so they're not working as much, but we don't have enough people yet to start bringing back routes. She mentioned probably when we get 3 more people hired and trained, that we can look at start bringing routes back. So that's where we're at with our driver shortage and bringing some of the routes that we suspended last year. It's been a whole year that we haven't ran those routes, which is hard to believe it's been a year that long. So that's all I have, unless I think of something later.
Yeah.
Yes, Charles.
Look like you're positive about the next tourist boat season, I guess. You're positive about 2023 as far as getting back that tour boat buses.
Oh, cruise ship buses?
Yeah, cruise ship.
Yeah, we won't be able to do this fall, but I'm very, very optimistic that we'll be up and running next year in the spring when they start coming back through.
Thank you.
Who's doing it now? Because
They're spending a lot of money bringing motor coaches down here. They cost a couple $1,000 a piece.
It's a big time operation.
Rebecca?
Just one more item, Jeff, about the STIF trainings and incorporating equity in project selection. Is there some, I know we've talked about this, but is there like a document that we can be referred to so we can see the language on that? Or how can we access that?
Yeah, there will be, and I'll make this a agenda item for the November 5th meeting, so you're up to speed, because I'll be sharing it with the STIF committee as well. ODOT is hosting a bunch of different STIF trainings, and that just happened to be the most recent one. But there's some more coming up, I think, Carla. Hi there. There's some more trainings coming up. aren't there?
Yes, so November 9th, you're graciously hosting a training here for the transit and agencies. And anybody is welcome to attend. We send out a save the date. Some of the times are wrong on it right now. But you can register and attend. It's going to be about the 5310, which is elderly and disabled, 5311, which is rural transit. We're going to hold off on 5304, which is planning, but we'll also have STIF formula training as part of that.
And that's going to be right here?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, everybody in Arlo's region is invited to come up. It's also going to be on Zoom as well, so if you can't make it, you can be here via Zoom as well.
And ODOT is providing lunch, so we need, reservations, and we'll be getting probably from Fultano's, where you can get salads or whatever you want.
I'll send out the link to the board on that.
Thank you.
I just have one question on page 50 about the bus stop project. I'm not sure what that is.
That's the Ensign Lane Highway 101 bus stop that we talked about a little bit before.
So,
We're working on getting the RFP done and getting that out, so we're doing it properly. The challenge we're gonna have is, like everything else, the cost of everything has gone up significantly. And so as part of the upcoming STIF solicitation, the WADA, the Northwest Oregon Transit Alliance, is going to be putting in another grant because we don't feel that the grant that we have now is going to cover the 3 stops that we're going to build. So we're going to ask for some more money to help with those costs, inflation.
so how does Tillamook County involved?
Tillamook County, they're part of DeWatta, and the 3 stops are the one on Ensign Lane in Warrenton, and then Tillamook County's project is down in Pacific City, and then Lincoln County's project is down in Walport.
Okay,
So we're gonna be doing 3 this year.
okay, that makes
And
sense.
just want to comment, I'm going to run out of umbrellas soon, so. I'm just kidding.
Rebecca?
Okay, sorry, I'm just kind of going over my notes here, but on our SETD priorities, Jeff, for the update SETD emergency plan, can we just put a little, I think you might have mentioned this, but when we talked about, the phone links, for off hours, emergencies and such, are we going to be working on that at all with the retreat, or can we make a little bit of time to make sure that we've got something we can take home that explains how we can respond like we did last Sunday for an emergency?
Yeah, we could do something, we could talk about that day. We don't have, the emergency plan done yet, but we can formalize for the board how to communicate.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's all I was asking on that. And then right below that, employee recruitment retention, under robust recruitment platform, just a nod to that we should be engaging with city and county affordable housing efforts, because that is a piece of the puzzle for recruiting, retaining, is that that there is affordable housing and, for our workforce.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about that as an opportunity as well, some ideas, some thoughts I have on that, so.
Okay.
We can talk about it.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else for Jeff, we can move on to Jason.
We got Jennifer.
Oh, Jennifer.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Jennifer's next.
Ladies first.
Oh, let me back up.
Okay,
Before, because the board needs to know this, Jennifer is going to be going out on a leave in October and will be out possibly up to 6 weeks. So to continue operations working smoothly, we're going to bring, we're contracting with Paul Lewicki to come in and serve in her absence. So Paul and I have come to an agreement, and he'll be starting on October 3rd. So just FYI. Okay, now you can have Jennifer.
Did you want me to come to the table or?
Yeah, move right up here.
Jeff,
Yes, sir.
what day was Jennifer going out?
October 5th.
Okay, so she won't be at our strategy meeting. Okay, thank you.
Paul will be though.
Cool.
Doesn't know it yet, but he will be.
does anybody have any questions or comments for Jennifer? Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, the only few things I wanted to add beyond what I've already had on my report was that Rural Transit Day poster that we had printed and signed. It's I just wanted to confirm that all those that have signed it. It's still at Seaside, I believe, and we'll get it framed and hung in the transit center lobby.
Are you sure you didn't sign something?
And with staff shortage, Seaside will be closed tomorrow. I just wanted to kind of put that out there. So we'll be picking it up next week.
Just the staff itself?
The
not
office.
Just, yeah, the office is closed, yeah, for the day, just the day.
Okay.
So.
Will you update the information we got about the chassis and the expected price increase on that?
Yes. So we are excited that the 2 Freightliners are close. Still have a November date for pickup, but they have been calling and asking us about getting some of those additions, the 2-way radios and all of those. So we possibly may see them earlier. Jeff and I received an email from Shedkey if we're still interested in the 6 buses we've been waiting, seems endlessly, if we were still interested in. And so we signed, yes, we're still interested in them. We're not held to, they can't guarantee the original price. And they are seeing a 30% to 100% increase in price.
100% increase.
For the chassis. Oh, okay.
Still.
So, well, we aren't gonna be held to the price. We'll be asked if we're still interested at that time, when they know the price of the vehicles.
So we still have a way to opt out if, okay.
Yeah, because, we can't absorb that kind of cost increase, so we may have to lessen the amount of buses that we'll take. from the
Yeah,
time on
because right now it's for 6 buses, 2 paratransit for a fixed route. So we will make that decision, and that would be 2023 at the earliest that we'll know when that is.
And ODOT's been great. They've been extending agreements, grant agreements because of the supply shortage. So they've been very helpful, but once we see the bottom line numbers, it's gonna be different.
May I add something to that?
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and eat. So ODOT is looking for a way to try to help transit agencies be whole on the buses that they've ordered. So let me give you a little bit of background scenario on this. Typically, like Shetke or Creative Bus gets 1,000 chassis that, you know, are as fixed price. Because of COVID, that's been reduced to 100 chassis at the fixed price. So when you get to the 101st chassis and more, then the prices go up and the bus companies cannot eat that cost. So we, as a division, I've been looking into it for several months now, knowing that the prices are going up. So we are working on it, and hopefully we'll have a solution so people can get the buses they need and not have to try to figure out how to pay for them.
Okay.
Thanks, Carla.
You're welcome.
It's a crazy world.
And I would, you want me to add about the bus 21? So bus
Yeah, that's a good example.
21 is a paratransit bus. It's a short cutaway. We intended to, you know, retire it, use it as a shuttle, those kinds of things. Because we've been waiting so long for the two short cutaways, two paratransit buses, we've had to put a third engine.
Yeah, and normally, you know, once we replace an engine, you know, we run that until it dies, and it died. Normally, we would just say goodbye to that bus, but, you know, it's a little over $9,000 to put an engine into it, but we need that bus back, so.
Yeah. We're at the point where we do not have a backup bus for paratransit on Sundays, so they need to continue to do their preventative maintenance, and then, you know, so that has to be very strategically scheduled with how many drivers and buses we need on the route to do our curb to curb service, so, yeah, and we have one very down, so we opted to put a new engine in that one. Kind of offset that.
Do we have more room at the service center now that we've disposed of some buses?
So those buses actually haven't physically left the office, so
still
we're
there.
waiting for the scrapyard to come and give us an estimate and a projected date on when they physically will come get them. So.
Okay.
The only other thing I wanted to just bring up is there's a severe pothole out at Dollar General, so if you kind of hear about it, it is being attended to, and supervisor actually is out there this morning looking at it to see if we can, because the drivers can't avoid it, if we need to like temporarily move the stop, if the driver needs to, you know, go beyond or pick up driver or riders before that, so just letting you know it's a pretty.
This passenger would appreciate it.
Yes, yes, and they are trying to very gently approach it and drive, you know, get through it and
They're
then.
trying really
Right.
hard to somehow work themselves in the front wheels in there at an angle, and they're doing a marvelous job of trying to
Yeah.
adapt.
And make it for a very rocky ride.
ODOT has been made aware of it. I know one of the supervisors called them, I learned about that yesterday. And then I reached out to my contacts at ODOT, and they're getting it scheduled right now. Plus, we have the benefit that Kelly's husband is one of those guys that works for ODOT and actually fills potholes. So they're very well aware of it, and I expect that they will get it completed here really soon.
And someone did approach 14th Street, and it is better to make that corner now.
Oh, good.
It's a little bit, but not so bad.
That's all I had.
Okay, anybody have anything else for Jennifer?
Yeah.
Deanna?
I just wanted to commend you on taking care of our staff during the heat waves, because they were pretty rough, especially going back and forth to Portland, because Portland got over 100 on some of those days. So I really appreciate that we stayed on top of that and that we took care of our staff.
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, how about Jason now?
Yeah, no, you can. So let's see here. Thank you again for approving the veterans transportation. Just want to highlight one thing before questions. In late August, I had a really cool opportunity, thanks to a gentleman named Bill Wagner from the National Center for Mobility Management, and my good friend from Rogue Valley Transportation District. He's also a travel trainer, and he also runs a veteran transportation program, Brian Simpson. And we were able to, in short order, put together a mini conference and attempted to pull as many people together to sit down and talk about some of the needs that veterans have in transportation, what we're doing, how we can improve what we're doing right now. And hearing from a bunch of different individuals, we had social workers there, we had veteran service officers there, and then of course Bill Wagner is such an amazing source of information and expertise. It wasn't really well attended with the short putting together of it and planning all that, but I tell you, we had some of the best conversations on how to help our veterans with better transportation options and all that kind of stuff. So it was great. I have to really be honest with you, it was one of the best conferences, as small as it was, that I've ever been a part of. So, and it's not just because I planned it. It was just, it was really good. We sat around a table like this, and we really hammered some really difficult things out. So.
And I was fortunate. I got to meet Bill when I was down at the Southwest Transit Association, SWATA's summer university in Arkansas. And Bill and I got to talk during the social hour for quite a while. And he'd already been working with Jason and Brian and spoke very highly of the two of them and really wanted to direct some more money to Oregon to set this program up. So it was a great conversation, and I texted Jason and got back and said, hey, Bill's gonna talk to you.
Yeah.
It worked out great.
It was a lot of fun. And we hope to actually use that as a springboard for Brian and I to plan a yearly Mobility Managers Summit and really pull together all of Oregon's mobility managers. There's quite a few here, and we never see each other, so it'd be nice. Okay, I'm open for questions.
Go ahead, Pamela.
In terms of on your first bullet, I was wondering if you don't have a category, this is in, between 25 and 34, unless they.
Where are you seeing that at?
Okay, page 53, your first bullet.
53, first bullet. And July 6 individuals?
Right.
Yeah.
And between the ages 35, so is there a 25 to 34 category?
Yeah, there is. There's 25 or younger.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so that's really kind of where, there's not a whole lot of them that I'm servicing that are 25 and younger. The majority of them, and quite frankly, they're between 50 and 60.
But I was wondering about 25 to 34.
Yeah, we don't have very many of them. But
There was only one person.
Yeah, there's only one person in that particular day, and I very rarely see anybody between 25 and 30.
And then the other thing is with the same situation, you have 50 to 60, you have 35 to 50, which is a 25-year difference. And perhaps have you ever thought about breaking that into a smaller categories so there are some differences?
Sure, yeah, I can look into that. Again, really just the amount of people that I get within those age categories, I try to just kind of gather. But yeah, I can definitely look into breaking that down.
We had it 60, kind of topped off because above 60 is pretty much considered senior citizen now. So that's why kind of, here's the adults that did it, and here was somebody that was younger.
And the only reason, the reason I bring it up is that, in planning for future riders, when you look at what happened to the young,
Sure.
And why don't the young take a bus?
Right.
Or, maybe you'll take a bus at 50 or 60, but not 50, or you have different places to go.
Right.
And that's why I'm proposing, or suggesting rather, a breakdown,
Sure.
even though there are two people there.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I do want to clarify a little bit. It's not that I don't see any, I don't count a lot of the phone calls. I don't count a lot of the, in passing by conversations. I've even had people, bump into me while I'm travel training face to face, and maybe they're a little younger. But yeah, I can definitely work into trying to define the categories a little better.
Because it seems, and this is sort of a segue to the strategic plan, that the majority focus is a certain age group, a certain financial group, and maybe in the future, why is that?
Yeah, I do try to target as many people as I can, but within the work scope of the mobility management program, 50 or 10 grant, and so forth, it's older adults and people with disabilities. So that's where a lot of my focus goes into, but I do try to ensure that I gather everybody up there. So maybe I'm not, the videos, definitely, that's one thing I do see a lot more individuals who are younger than that 35 to 60 group access those.
And the other possibility is that as parents grow older, that if there's
Absolutely.
younger children thinking about their parents,
Yeah.
relatives, whether they can get information to tell their
Hey, youth are
older
great
siblings.
travel trainers. They are.
Thank you.
Rebecca, did you have something?
Oh, all I wanted to do was get clarification on Bill Wagner. Who's he affiliated with?
He's affiliated with the Centers for Mobility Management. That's a very good organization that helps individuals who are mobility managers and so forth. Training programs. Jeff, if you want to say something more about Bill.
They're a division,
Yeah.
that organization is a division of CTAA, the
Right.
Community Transportation Association of America, who we're members of.
And Bill was specifically, he worked CTAA for many years before he went to CTMA.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else for Jason?
Not for
Oh, you got
Jason,
one.
this is just,
Oh.
has been on my mind, is to have perhaps a conference with all the transportation districts that we exchanged just for transit.
We have the OTA conference every year.
But we don't really talk to them, to have presentations by all the transportation districts.
Well, I'm involved with the Public Transportation Advisory Committee, which is an ODOT committee. OTA meets monthly or bi-monthly, every other month. And all their board members, or most of them, are from transit agencies, so staff-wise, we're constantly in communication with everybody.
I guess, well, maybe to get some more specific information when you attend these, rather than, it was a good, and we talked about this, or, a presentation. More, some of their concerns, their issues, and their solutions, so that the board can think about.
We aren't having, well, I don't know what we're having this year, but next year, the in-person OTA, or Oregon Public Transit conferences will start up again, so the board will be invited to read.
Thank you.
Pamela, are you stating that you would like to see a one-on-one, face-to-face with other board members?
Well, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But also that in general, when people go to meetings, it would be good to hear the specifics, not the roll call, but the specifics of what occurred at the meetings. Thank you.
And I try to share those in my report when I go to those conferences.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jason.
Kathy?
There she is.
Good morning, everybody. So I've got a lot of stuff in my lengthy report for the 2 months. I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything. Rebecca?
Electric scooters, motorized scooters. I am not in favor of them as a Seaside resident. Maybe I could be persuadable to learn more about it, but there are cities that are saying they're banning them. And, as somebody who lives in a really high density tourist / residential neighborhood, I see tourists doing some very odd things on roads and highways where they should probably go somewhere where there are no other cars. So that's my comment for the day on that. And if you have a response to that, I'd be happy to hear it.
I would just concur. As a seaside resident since 1983, things have changed over the years and it is getting worse, not better. So.
But is the comment because there's a proposal to get motorized scooters in Seaside?
Well, there are other cities that have chosen to ban the motorized scooters. And I think there probably are a variety of different types. We've got, motorized bicycles now, and, there's all kinds of things that people are using recreationally. I would say more than modes of transportation. And, although I am all for, finding alternative modes of transportation other than, vehicles, I just am very concerned about the safety measures for those kinds of scooters and that sort of thing. And, this is where, I think in our retreat, we can also talk about, the issues that occur for us on the board when we want to take a stand and, as a citizen for or against, certain things that where, the transportation district might be promoting something, and then an individual on the board might be opposed to that. So, at this stage in our meeting today, I don't think we need to cover it comprehensively. I just wanted to bring it up because you had included that, Kathy, in your email or in your report. So maybe that's something we have an opportunity to talk about at another time. Thank you.
Anybody
Okay,
else?
so I'm not sure where the question was in there, but I will just make this statement as far as potential perspective on this. And I know that e-bikes, e-scooters, e-devices get a really bad rap a lot of the time. And often that is for good reason. However, there are other reasons why e-bikes and e-scooters are a really good option as far as equity is concerned, because not everybody can afford a car and not everybody can get around walking. And so it is something that needs to be considered as an option. And along with that, rules and regulations have to be adopted so that they can be enforced universally for everybody. So bad behavior is bad behavior. It isn't limited to people that operate e-devices. It's bad behavior in general. And so when cities and towns adopt an attitude that they want to just disallow them because they aren't currently allowed, and maybe some people are using them badly, then you're also excluding a lot of options that are an equity issue for a lot of people. And so that's all I wanted to say to that, as far as that's concerned, as far as just providing a different perspective, and that they are out there and that they are being used very well in a lot of places as a transportation option is something to consider and to have your eyes open about when maybe you're going someplace else and when you're looking at things and looking at rules and regulations. And that's kind of, I'm not sure specifically where in my report you're talking about and you're referencing, Rebecca, but I was bringing them up that they were being used in places and they're used effectively and efficiently, and they are a great equity option for a lot of people in a lot of places.
And I think
Thank
that-
you, Kathy. And in response to that, if I didn't put it in the form of a question, I apologize. I was just commenting on it, and I did see that you did have a reference to it in your report. And I also agree that this is the tip of the iceberg, because every municipal and everybody involved with something, these types of modes of transportation, there's so much involved in policy making on rules of usage and also enforcement of proper usage. And that indeed would be something that I would like to pursue as this moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Anybody else have anything for Kathy?
So I do have a couple things I'd like to bring up because, wait, there, over my shoulder, right there. October is the annual Get There Challenge. So if you haven't signed up, if you meant to all last year and you didn't, please get in and sign up. There's some early bird prizes that you could win. And if you know a friend that you talked to about last year and they didn't sign up, you can refer them and also be eligible for some early bird prizes. So get in there, getthereoregon.org, and get registered and get ready for a Get There Challenge this year. There are some local prizes that will be limited to people that are here in Clatsop, Tillamook, and Columbia counties to win. So get on it and be ready. My report also mentions, and you've heard me mention frequently, the impact program that I was part of. And Jeff, if it's okay, I have a 2-minute video I'd love to show.
Ask the chair.
Chair.
Sure, let's see it.
Okay, 1 second. So this is a video that I worked, host, you have disabled screen sharing.
Okay. I'm not sharing anything.
I think you can hover over my my box and click on the 3 dots and enable screen share.
It doesn't have a screen share, but I can make you a co-host. That'll do it.
It should.
Okay, now you can try it.
Why,
Okay.
yes, it does. Is it up?
Yes.
There, it's a little dark. There, that's better.
Okay.
Yes.
Oops.
If you had a magic wand, what TDM related change would you make to improve the world?
Shifting the way we think about parking as a free good when it's in fact an incredibly taxing strategy on our society.
Make the non-car infrastructure the main infrastructure in anywhere that you are. I always say it's funny, trains are underground and hidden from the world, and cars are right in front of your front door. So a magic wand, maybe flip those, put cars underground and put trains and buses and bikes and people above ground.
Start with a clean slate and to invite all the players to the table to start to look at how roads are designed, how communities are designed, how mobility options are baked in to all of that work. Being able to start from scratch, we could have a great system.
With a magic wand, I would give people just that quick moment of having an open mind to any kind of new possibility about how they get moved.
If I had a magic wand, I would change the minds of our politicians to get them to reconsider where they put the money towards public infrastructure.
I think it really has to be a broader investment in public transportation. I think that is where the industry is the most challenged.
Who do you think would benefit the most if we were able to use your magic wand that way?
Probably everybody.
I think everybody.
Really, everybody.
I think everyone would benefit from it.
Good job, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
So that was about 4 hours of interviews that was baked down into that little snippet. And that is just one of the pieces of collateral that I was able to create for the National or International Association for Commuter Transportation. And it's just providing different ways of looking at things, just like I was just talking about, changing perspective a little bit and providing some extra information in a different way.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay. Anybody else have anything with Kathy? All right, we'll move on to Sue.
What about Mary?
Mary's after Sue. Oh, wait, no, Mary first. I'm sorry. It's okay.
Mary's in the room. Sue's all the way in Warrenton.
I'm sorry, so I'm out of order today, and we're gonna go with Mary first and then Sue.
Okay. Well, I've been, you have my report, and I've been working on more of the purging, out in our, storage rooms out in Warrenton, and, I'm close to having it done. I think we're gonna have about 120 boxes, to shred here on the 11th of October. I've got the truck scheduled to come, and it's gonna be over. It's gonna be over. I need some tall, strong guy to take some of the boxes down from above. But anyway, I'm really happy to report that. Also, I've been working with Sue on a Christmas party, which we may tentatively have tentatively set for the 10th of December. 10th of December, the Saturday. We were able to, we've been looking at options, but we were able to reserve the Legion again in Seaside, and they will also cater it. And so, we haven't cemented it in stone yet, but that's what we're looking at, it's the 10th. And I think that's, if you have any questions on anything else. I also wanted to say that the Veteran Stand Down, we have participated in that for many years, and we have provided transportation free to that before and tried to support that before. I know the last couple of years they have not had it, I believe, but anyway, it's a wonderful, highly regarded and attended event. So it's fun to go to and see what happens there. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful.
Thank you, Mary. Any questions, any comments for Mary? Thank you. Now, Sue.
Good morning, board. Good morning, Arla. Nice to see everyone. And are there any questions to my report?
Hey, Sue, I've got one thing. Would you just mention what Rick did for us yesterday?
Oh, my goodness. So we had a really great drivers meeting, and it's such a pleasure to be able to serve our employees lunch. But one of our employees, Rick Yelton, who was a Coast Guard member or worked for the Coast Guard until he retired, was a chef. And so he fixed a carrot cake for us, and he made it out of the carrots that were left over. People didn't want from our food bank delivery. So isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It was really good. Right, Jeff?
Really, really good.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Anybody have any questions or comments for Sue? Pamela?
You had talked about getting a bulletproof for the front. I was wondering, is there a panic button?
Not at this time. And that is something else, of course, that we are thinking of. But yeah, I still have to get quotes from the glass company to see how much that's going to cost. And hopefully, did I talk about doing a grant? Yeah, applying for that grant in November.
Do we have any issues down in the Seaside office like Stephanie has here?
No, Eric does not. I check in on him or go visit him when I go pick up uniforms down there at Sign One. And so I keep regular visitation, and he's not ever complained about having an upset patron. So I don't know if in the past he's had any or not.
Is he behind the glass? I can't remember. It's been a long
No.
time since I've been down there.
No, it's not.
Open, just open.
It's open, it's open.
Okay.
But he doesn't have the traffic down there like we have up here, or the central location for them,
Right.
you know, because it's not on a bus stop, it's just an office to sell tickets, and, you know, he only gets, on average, a couple of people a day.
Okay.
That come and see him.
Okay.
And
He has the acrylic, you
Yeah.
know, like for COVID, but that's it.
And he does have an office mate now. Someone else is renting one of the offices in that particular space. So that's nice that he's got, you know, somebody there quite a bit of the time, I guess. And I think Kathy drops in every once in a while. But he's never expressed a concern to me.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Pamela?
I think a concern I have until you get a panic button is who does Stephanie call if she's in trouble? Because a lot of times people are gone. And you also have some physical barriers and walls. So is there a contingency?
Pretty much I'm here until 5 o'clock every day, so.
Okay, so is there a button like you could just go press Jeff and it'll ring?
No, we don't.
You don't have that, okay.
You can call me though.
And Pamela, I do want to say that the safety committee is working on that particular issue right now, seeing about getting coverage while Stephanie's there during hours where maybe she's the only one at the transit center. So it is at the top of our list there with the safety committee, and yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Anything else for Sue?
I did want to say one more thing. We have a new bus driver coming on Friday, and she's a Seaside High School graduate quite a few years ago, but she actually remembers riding the bus when she was in high school to her church youth group things and events, and she was an avid bus rider, and she's been a school bus driver for several years, 15 years or so. So yeah, I'm really excited. Her name is Emily Renicky.
Oh, I don't know.
Charles?
Sue, I don't know if there's a camera at that desk in the lobby at the transit district, but I do know this. These new internet cameras, I have a new camera that is fairly reasonable, and it pretty much captures motion of anyone coming and going in high definition. So I don't know if there's a camera there now, but if someone's in there, at least we know who it is, or we can identify them.
Yeah, Charles, we have cameras all over in here.
Okay.
Interior and exterior, and I have it up on one of my computer screens.
Right.
I think Jennifer's able to see her too. Are you, Jennifer, able to see her?
I have not been able to log in, but she has all the supervisors at the and non-emergent phone call at the tip of her fingers. So
Donna, who works over here during the day, she has the cameras up on one of her screens all the time as well.
And she's
Yesterday at the driver meeting, Jennifer made a point to talk to the drivers about just keeping an eye out, you know, for the ones who are there early and the ones who are there late before Stephanie gets there, to make sure that if they see trash or whatever, to notify the supervisors, but just to make sure, you know, just to check things out as they're leaving for their morning routes before she gets there, and alerting any supervisor of any issues.
And the other thing we do too, both Jennifer and one of the supervisors comes over or drives through in the morning when they come into work, just to check things out on the exterior. So they can address any issues that may be out there.
All right.
Okay, one more thing. I just want to give Mary a bravo, Mary, I went out there because I had some boxes that needed to go to the storage unit, and she is doing a fantastic job with the storage unit. It is very organized, looks really good. So kudos.
thank you.
Have you taken your extra desk out of there yet?
Chair.
Thank you, Sue. Anybody have anything else?
I would just like to add that if we're gonna talk about e-bikes, let's throw the Surreys in there too, okay? Because that's my issue.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 11:20.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.